With this Mars build, you can make him broken. But the thing that actually makes him really broken is actually his kit. As his skill 1 Mineral Fragment is a single target damaging skill with 90% of attack and magic attack as damage ratios with a 60% chance to inflict taunt on an enemy for 1 turn, and this can be increased all the way up to an 80% chance. Then with his skill 2 Mineral Assault, this is another single target skill with a 3-turn cooldown and damage ratios of 110% of attack and magic attack with a 40% chance to inflict a stun status element on an enemy for 1 turn, and when you actually inflict that stun, you will then also be able to apply a level 3 defense reduction debuff. And then this stun chance can be increased all the way from 40% all the way up to 60%. Then we have his special skill, which is going to basically be another AoE special skill with 70% of attack and magic attack as damage, and will grant a level 3 fortify buff for 2 turns, which will be a 34% damage reduction with a 25% chance to inflict an extended status element duration by 1 turn on an enemy. And then his combining and united attacks are honestly amazing, as his combined attack has a 40%, which can go up all the way to 50% chance to inflict a stun status element on an enemy for 1 turn with damage ratios of 30% of attack and magic attack. And then his united attack alongside Lotus will be 30% of attack and magic attack as damage, whilst being able to inflict a reduced all attack level 1 debuff on an enemy for 2 turns if their mobility is 50% or less, and then will also have a 40% chance to inflict taunt on an enemy for 1 turn. And then Lotus's side will basically just be a guaranteed level 3 reduced speed reduction. And then his LR passive is basically a complete debuff immunity, which will be given to all of your allies for 1 turn at the start of combat. And then his enhanced passive will be 5% damage reduction taken whenever you're being attacked. And then once you get him all the way to 5 dupes, that can be increased all the way up to a 10% reduced damage taken. So the next up we have all of his best gear sets. And to start off with this first set, we're going to go for the 4 set Great Merchants collection, so you can get the 30% defense increase as well as the 40% defense increase and 8% fortify buff. And then you'll be wanting to pair that with Sprouting Mystic Tree, so then you can increase your defense by even more, so then it scales even higher. But what is another really great set of gears that you can run on Mars is going to be the 2 set Great Merchants collection alongside the Ice Mansions Remain set, so you can get that 7% max HP increase, whilst also then running the Secret of the Deep Sea to get that 5% increased speed buff for 2 turns at the start of a wave, so you can be quicker than other people's Marses. And for all the pieces that you're going to want for this gear set, you're going to want the Silk from a Village with defense main stat, and then Perfume from a Village with attack main stat, and then for the Ice Mansion set, you're going to want the Ice Shoe with defense, and then the Ice Mirror with attack, and then for the Deep Sea Scale Fragment, you're going to want that on defense, and then the Essence of the Deep Sea is going to be wanted on attack as well. And the reason why these 3 sets work really well together is there's a lot of other things, especially to do with certain skill pages, which I'll get on in a second, that really allow Mars to benefit off of actually having a lot of HP, as well as also defense at the very same time. So because you have these 2 gear sets, you then need to fill out another gear set. So once again, Secret of the Deep Sea is amazing because the speed buff is amazing in Arena, and that's pretty much it. But then for substance, pretty much literally anything that can help you survive in terms of defenses. You got crit resistance, stuff like that is also great. You got endurance, damage resistance, HP are all great because Mars's job is just to only survive, so that's what you need him to do, and that's what you want him to do. Alright, so next up we have all of his talents, and starting off with his attack talents, we're going to go for the 7% increase in attack alongside the Sharp Mind buff, as we don't really need to crit, which is pretty much going to make Battle Frenzy useless, and the increase in attack buff is pretty much just because he has a higher attack stat than his magic attack stat, and then the Sharp Mind is again just to give us some extra free damage. And then we have the Card Stone, which is going to be just the attack and magic attack one, just give us some extra bonuses of damage because you might as well. And then for defense talents, we're going to go for the increase of defense of 20%, so we can scale off even more of all of our defense sets. And then the same will go for the endurance, as you can increase your defense again, as well as crit resistance as well, which is going to allow you to be even more tankier when facing against a lot of crit-based DPS characters, especially someone like Licht, for example. And then for the defense Card Stone slot, pretty much just anything that can increase your defense is going to be really, really good. Either the 800, 1200 one, and all the other ones, etc., are always really good, so you can then, once again, scale off of your defense even more to make yourself even more tanky. And then for support talents, Swiftness is going to be the best one that you can go for, as it will give you even more special points, which will then allow you to get your combined attack and also your united attack off even more, as those are the things you're going to be using the most with Mars. And then, of course, the increased damage resistance to help you tank even more. And then for the support Card Stone slot, you can pretty much go for any of them, as I believe there'll be crit resistance, HP, and also speed. Either one of those are really, really good, as the HP one is great, so you'll be able to scale off even more with your HP gear set. Same goes for crit resistance to help with the endurance, so you get even more crit resistance, so then you can then be even more tankier. And then the speed one is also great for Arena, so then you can be a lot quicker than other people's Marses, so then you can get all of your stuff off before theirs does, which is pretty much it. Alright, and next up we have all of his skill pages, and the best skill page for him is going to be Survival of the Fittest, of course, as it's his own specific skill page. And the passive skill is really what makes this amazing, as it will give him a 4% fortify damage reduction buff upon taking damage, and this will stack up to 4 times and will reset at the start of every turn. And then the upgraded skill effect will then give his skill 1 an increased defense level 1 buff for 2 turns, which is once again going to make him even more tankier. And this is amazing because the up to 16% fortified damage reduction is really, really good. It's really, really big, and when you combine it with other damage reduction effects that you can get from his special skill and other other character special skills, you'll just be invincible. And then Twisted Creed is probably the next best thing, as the passive skill is actually really good, as it will basically at the start of every wave, it'll give you a barrier equal to 15% of Mars's max HP. Persevering Resolution is another fantastic skill page for him, but it's more unique in terms of where you can actually use it, as it will give you a 10% reduced damage taken buff on a boss, which is really good because you can just have a bunch of damage reductions. And then we also have False Confidence, which is going to be Sake's skill page. This is amazing because it'll increase your HP and defense at the same time. Then other stuff like Adventurous Journal is great because once you get it all the way up to level 6, you can get up to a 20% HP increase, which is really good, so you're even more tankier. As well as Moonlight Necklace is also pretty good because you get a 40% increased defense buff as well as HP recovery buffs, but that's not really the most important thing. It's mainly just for the up to 80% increased defense. So next up we have all of the best characters that work really well with Mars. And of course the best character to work well with Mars is obviously going to be Lotus, as his United Attack with Lotus is honestly unbelievable given the speed reductions, attack reductions, taunting is amazing. And because of these things like stamina reductions, speed reductions, etc. is what's really good, as because all tanks are really slow in this game, with Mars being at 100 speed, it's going to allow him to have even more value and it's going to allow him to act even more, which is then going to allow him to stun more, taunt people more often, and it's going to be really helpful. And someone else who also ties in with all of that is also going to be Julius Nova Chrono, as because Julius's ultimate special skill, Chronostasis, also has stunning, it has reduced mobility as well, it grants extra turns, and you can also reduce people's mobility with his skill 2 when you have his skill page, as well as his skill 1 as well, which is honestly amazing. So when you put those all together, you just have an insane combination of characters. And then finally, William Vengeance is honestly another fantastic pair for Mars. It's probably one of the best pairings for Mars, as considering you're not going to be using Mars's special skill a lot because you want to be using his combined and united attack more often, that means you can't necessarily get the level 3, 4, or 5 buff from his special skill. But however, with Vengeance's special skill being Magic Tree's Descent, you can grant all allies a fortified level 3 buff, whilst also giving counterattacks as well. And then not to mention, he also has stunning as well on his skill 1 with a 40% chance to inflict a transform status element onto them. But then of course you've obviously got characters like Noelle Silver, who is a great AoE damage support. You got the Season 2 Charmy, who's a great continuous healer as well, who also gives special points so you can use your united and combined attacks even more often, defense increases to make yourself tankier as well. And the same also goes for Season 1 Mimosa as well, because she also has a level 2 increased defense increase buff to all allies, as well as being able to increase damage resistance on her skill 2, whilst also extending buff durations as well, is amazing. And not to mention the revive is honestly god tier. And then finally we have his skill level priorities, and the biggest priority is going to be his combined or united attack, as the united attack is going to be amazing to do as much damage with it as you possibly can, but mainly more so for the combined attack, as you want to be able to increase that stun activation rate as much as you possibly can, so you can increase it all the way up to a 50% chance on an AoE, which is really good. And then his skill 1 Mineral Fragment is probably the next thing you want, as the 80% chance to taunt is amazing once you get it all the way to level 5, as you can just shut down healers with ease. And then Mineral Assault as well is going to be the next thing after that, because then you can increase the stun activation rate on this skill all the way up to a 60% chance. And then finally his special skill will be after that, as his special skill is actually really good. I think his combined and united attack is just a little bit better, as being able to extend status ailment duration is honestly really good, and to be able to increase that all the way to a 45% chance is a decent chance of it happening. So there you have it. That is my complete guide on Mars in Black Clover Mobile. This character is amazing, he's a great tank, and if you enjoyed this video or it helped you, then don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below whether it helped you or not, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.